Yeah, yeah. What they saying? I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shine. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shine. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine.
Welcome to the H.G.R.G podcast. We're here with another one. What's up, fellas? DT, just Jerry. How we doing, fellas?
Wagwan.
I'm good. I'm
Jerry's neighbor from Queens that he forgot about.
I never went back, bro. I never went back.
Listen, if you watch the episode, you already know it's the H.G.R.G inside joke. If not, get with us, man.
Lance, you still with us, bro?
I'm here.
Jerry, what about you? How long you gonna be with us?
It's about that time, guys.
He got a 10-day contract.
It's about that time, bro.
He got a 10-day in the playoffs? The playoffs? Playoffs?
Please don't talk about the playoffs right now. We're gonna move forward.
Well, with that being said, there's one thing that a lot of people talk about, even us on our platform. How much do you have to put in on a conventional loan? Oh, FHA, that's the movie, 3.5. You just need X amount to bring to the table. If you have an FHA loan, if you have a conventional loan, you need 20%. This is what you need. Just to be transparent with you guys, there's this thing called closing costs, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, man.
Oh,
sugar. Talk about that today.
Sugar.
I'm going to tell you right now, you hear it everywhere, because I hear it everywhere, and we've even said it. We are guilty of telling you, 3.5%, for FHA loan. That's what you got to bring to the table, baby. What's 3.5% of 300? And then we go through that. Conventional is 20%. You got to do this. What's 20% of that? And we give you that. But there's also this thing called closing costs. We don't want you guys to be left out in the cold thinking that you only need a certain amount of money, and that is the percentage that you need to bring down.
Yeah.
There's also closing costs as well.
Yeah.
So closing costs is pretty much the fees at the final stages of you closing your property.
It's the little bitty letters and numbers on the last piece.
Right. That's the print that you like this. You like that. What is that?
And believe it or not, it's the most important part of the transaction.
It's the most important part. I mean, and they're gonna vary depending on your school zone. Because it's taxes involved in that. There's a few things that are all adding up, right? That
break it down. Don't do that. Don't give away no.
I don't want to take everything. I like to be more of the host, and I like to hand off. You know the format. Don't try to. I don't want to ruin the format.
Sometimes I like to throw a monkey wrench. You know what I'm saying? So what I would like to hear, I want you to break it down a little bit, and then also share, which I think is relevant story. When you bought your house, right?
So that's a story I want to get into real quick. But I didn't want to do it right now. I wanted to wait. I wanted to get my story last.
Well, this doesn't go your way all the time, brother. All right, this is not how this works.
I guess this is life, guys.
This guy is acting like he has a long-term contract with.
Must be the host. He wants to set up the story he tells.
On the show.
You don't have a long-term contract with us, so show that you're here to stay.
Earn your leisure, my guy. Earn your leisure.
I mean,
shout out to Earn Your Leisure. Shout out to those guys. So
I stumbled. Got him.
No, it's not stumbling. It makes me look real dumb.
Be the first one.
I remember.
So you must know. See, obviously you know.
I remember the conversation.
So when we're adding up our little change in the beginning of this, I'm like, oh, we can get this many properties. Because I'm thinking just the percentage. And believe it or not, just Jerry goes, well, what about closing costs? I'm like, I just bought my property, And I didn't have to pay closing costs because the seller helped out, and we can get the seller to pay for that. This is real. This is real, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, this is real. We give this to you guys, because at some point I wasn't shit.
It's a laughing matter because obviously now a lot more seasoned, understand, been through it,
right?
But it's funny now because it does sound funny for somebody who says that, trusting me to learn this and go this way and follow me can tell these type of stories, but nevertheless, it wouldn't be legit. It wouldn't be genuine if you don't share these type of things, right?
It's the story that we went through, not the story that we're going to tell you. Right. Like what it's not the GPS conversation. It's the history. Yeah. And we need the history for the future. So
that's a fact. That's a fact. And I had just gone through it.
Bars.
And I'm like Jerry, just believe.
I said bars.
Oh, bars. You can't.
Don DeMarco.
Light.
I'm like, yeah, listen, I just went through it. I didn't have to pay anything. Little did he know as well that
I was arguing for at least 5-10 minutes, bro. I was arguing like, yo, bro, we gotta pay closing costs. He's like, no,
it's not gonna be that much.
Like, no. I'm like, yo, bro, we gotta pay closing costs. We gotta do that. But I just did it. I did it. I didn't pay nothing.
You know what? I definitely here's what I left out the story is that the people that were here before us, their property that they were buying fell through, so they had to stay here for a little bit. So all that was they basically paying us rent. So ultimately, it cost us nothing for closing costs.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So I kind of left that out when I was.
Well, to make it clear to the people who may not understand that, Lance bought a property. He was ready to close. The sellers weren't ready.
Go ahead, host DT.
Lance, I got this. Lance offered them the opportunity to now rent that property from them as long as it took them to find another house. So the money that he got in rent, they just credited him for his closing costs so that it didn't cost him anything out of his pocket.
Correct. So here I am thinking, closing costs isn't much. It's nothing. Because in my eyes, they only stood here a month. So how much can closing costs be? You know what I'm saying? Like closing costs can't be much, right?
Yeah, can't be much,
right? I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's phenomenal. What's crazy is that's exactly that's exactly what he thought, and that's exactly how he felt.
That's fact.
And couldn't nobody tell him no different. Like
that's a fact.
Like it was 1 month. Like
I'm telling
Jerry and you are arguing. I'm sure it was like, Terry, here we go. Lance is like, I'm about to go get my paperwork out because he don't believe me.
He's like, bro, watch this. I said, all right.
You never bought an investment property, neither did I.
Yeah,
I know. Go off of what we know.
And you can't go off of what I got because I put 20% down.
Right.
So don't listen to me because I'm an idiot.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's awesome.
So we buy the property. We buy the property.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm
shocked.
He goes through each fee.
I'm sick.
He is going, what's this? What's that? This doesn't work.
School taxes. I don't even go to school.
Why are we paying for this?
We
got credit here though. We got a credit for this, but we got to pay for this. I'm like, yo, bro, I just said.
I'm like, we live in a school. I'm like, we bought a property in the school zone. It's just real half mental stuff that I'm saying. That I'm on the phone, like with the attorneys. Like somebody explain this shit to me right fucking now. Like I need explanation now, because you're asking me to give you an extra $8,000. I don't know what's going on here. You took away a whole nother property. You took a whole nother property from me that I accounted for. I thought I was gonna be rich in 2 years, because I accounted for all the money that we had and I didn't account for you start accounting closing costs. I'm like, hold on, I'm like, we short like four properties. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was like, I couldn't believe it, and it was unexpected. And even though he was saying it and he was on the opposite side of it, opposite side of it. I didn't realize that price point was going to be that, because it also depends on when you buy the property, what time of year you buy the property.
Yes, sir.
You know, it also depends. Is there renters in there?
And explain that though. Explain that. I want
because if you're at the beginning, right? If you're at the beginning of the tax season,
let's say January.
If you're at the beginning of the tax season, right? You gotta make sure you account for the whole tax year.
12 months.
12 months.
You got the whole year, so you got to pay that.
Yes, sir.
If you're at the end of the year, it's gonna be a lot less, because the person that owns their property is paying their taxes as they go, right?
You pay the prorated amount.
Yep.
So exactly, you pay the prorated amount. So here I am. I'm like hurt that I'm buying the property the wrong time. I bought it in the school zone.
Bought it in the school zone on January 1st.
I just want to let you guys know.
Yes, it was March.
I want to let you guys know.
Yes.
I do want to let you know this. You are going to pay taxes, and everyone has a school zoned. You know, it doesn't matter where you buy the property at. Your kids, if you have kids, will go to a school that is zoned for that area, and you will pay taxes
and
that
you're
go
paying
to that.
for it. And you're paying for that.
I want to let you know this is not like, in my mind, I'm thinking like,
depending on your market, right?
I'm thinking like a drug bust.
Some markets don't have property taxes.
Right. Depending on market. Yes, I just want to definitely our market.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm thinking like school zone, like you see a sign. Like school zones drive 35 miles per hour, 25 miles per hour. The lights are flashing. You know, you've now left the school zone. You know, X, Y, and Z. But I mean, I was seeing stuff that was crazy. That it was shocking to me. That the thing is, what if I wasn't in position? What if Jerry and I were not in position to pay that closing cost?
You would have lost the property, and you would have forfeited your deposit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This shit counts. This is
possibly
vital.
Been sued if the seller resells the property for less than you bought it for. They can sue you for the difference.
That's crazy.
That is a solid gem right there.
You want to talk about why you at H.G.R.G right now? Is because of shit like that.
Yes, you are. Because I'll tell you right now, we were going to sue somebody because at the last minute they walked away. They walked away. We was thinking about suing them.
I remember that too.
Yeah, absolutely. We was upset.
Damn, you start thinking about it, bro. We've been through some shit doing this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why H.G.R.G. That's why, and not to go off track, but this is why when we created H.G.R.G, you know, we wanted to streamline everything, make it plug and play, because we've been through it all. You know, we've been through it all. But,
nothing you can surprise us with.
So can I ask you a question? Is it okay? So I've watched videos and I've heard people talk, and my friends and family and all that. You know, they always say that there's a type of loan that you could pay, 20% down. There's another type of loan that's 3.5 is always thrown out there. And I'm sure there's other loans where other percentages are relevant, right? Whatever that 3.5, that 20%, right? Is that the closing cost you're referring to, or is that something different?
No. There's a down payment. Thank you. Let's be very clear. There's a down payment, right? And
what does that mean? What is a down payment?
Down payment is the beginning of the process.
Right. You got to come in with skin in the game.
Yeah.
Right. So we're not going to hold this property for nothing. What are you bringing? I need your 3.5% down, or I need your 20% down. Right. And then after you do that, hey, listen, there's a bunch of fees attached to this on the back end.
Or
so all those fees, with all those fees, we going to need that too at the end. Those are your closing costs.
Okay. So if you tell me I got to put 20% down, right? And 20% of 100K is 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right? So if I put down 20,000, I'm sure that's enough to cover closing costs as well, right? I mean, that's $20,000.
No.
Why not?
No, it's two different things. Look at it as two different entities.
Okay.
You got your upfront.
Yeah, but you're upfront. You're putting a down payment to get into the house. What you're paying the closing cost is for everybody working for you. Right? So now the underwriter for the bank, you have to pay him. He has to get paid. Right?
any packages sent to your ass, anything, any contract.
The lawyer's working for you. You're gonna have to pay, right?
Land survey, the recording fees, title,
the title insurance, the title, the deed, all that transferring that title to you. You have to pay for that. That's the fees.
If there's any previous liens on the property that have to be expunged or researched or whatever the case may be, sometimes you might be
paying for that research anyway. I'm gonna let you know right now. Yeah, I don't care if shit comes up.
Yeah.
You're paying for that.
There's processing fees. There's underwriting fees. There's loan fees.
Yeah.
There's fees for you even getting the property and then working for you. Everybody has to get paid.
And then the taxes.
So we're not talking about you coming in and say, hey, I have 20% of this house. That is your job to even get into the house. That's your job. Now you want everybody to work for you. You have to pay for that at the end of the process. At the last step of the process is a closing cost.
And those are the fine print details that he's speaking on. Can
you skip closing costs? Meaning, I don't want them to do a title search, and I don't want them to do any of that.
Yes.
When you have a mortgage, you can still do it.
No. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I haven't.
I'm going to tell you right now, from me, 1/3 of H.G.R.G, I advise that you don't do that.
I think you would disagree. I think you would disagree because remember, it's a situational thing, right? Quick claim deed.
Yeah, but we're talking about. I'm just talking about conventionally going step by step.
Well, now you're moving the goalpost.
All right. Okay. Well, I mean, I want to be on. I said, well, I did say 3.5% for FHA, 20% conventional, up front here, back end there. Did I not say that?
I'm not sure how that's relevant to the other question, but yeah, I get it. I understand what you're saying. But the question was that is there ever a time where you can avoid skip closing costs? And the answer was
okay. I apologize. I didn't open up. I did open up the whole door.
Quick claim deed would be the only time something like that is liable, right? And in a sense, you do something like that, like if Lance has a property and he wants to transfer it to his daughter's name or his wife's name or something, he can just quick claim it over to them. And there's a $500 attorney fee for that, but essentially it's just a recording fee. It's not necessarily the land surveys and all that good stuff.
Right. Just like if you buy a property and you want to put it to your LLC, same thing.
Same thing, exactly.
Right. Perfect. Which is exactly what we did. So I mean, yeah, there's none of that back end stuff.
Yeah.
You don't need.
You've already done that. Chances are you've already done that back stuff.
Absolutely.
Back end stuff.
Absolutely.
So you don't need to.
Let me ask you a question. What about appraisal fees? Is that on the closing costs?
Yes, when you're dealing with a bank, those are must do's.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. If you're a cash buyer, that's not relevant.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So these are all and there's fees you got to look out for, man. So you gotta.
Let's go into a couple other details with closing costs, right?
Yeah.
I know I was being facetious in some of the questions that I was asking, but it was obviously to stimulate the conversation. Some things. Let's go into a couple things that people don't really know about for the most part with closing costs, right? Title insurance is huge. Title insurance is huge must do thing. Jerry, I think you and Lance have a story about a title insurance issue that you guys had. I know I have several.
Yeah.
And what's the purpose of a title without going long-winded? The purpose of title insurance is that if I own a property and I sell it to Lance, and at some point in time I took out some type of loan that was guaranteed by that property and I defaulted on that loan. So now that debt is being held over that property, but now I sold it to Lance. If Lance doesn't get title insurance, as his attorney doesn't do the proper due diligence, that now becomes Lance's debt.
Yes, sir.
But if Lance has title insurance and his attorney misses it, Lance is free and clear because his title insurance will cover that mistake. So super important, super relevant. You could buy a property and think you're all in and chilling and put all types of money into it. And you think you can go sell it. Let's say you do a flip and your margins are 50K on a flip. You're going to make 50K when you sell it. And then come to find out when the buyer's attorney does their research, they realize that your attorney missed something and there's a 45K debt there or 70K debt. So now when you sell that house, now you got to pay $20,000 to just sell the house.
You're upside down.
Yeah, you thought you was gonna make 50, but now you got to pay 20. So that's a huge thing. You want to definitely make sure you always get titles insurance when that's relevant, and that's part of your closing.
Or they could call you and say that there's a lien on it, and you could tell them, "Go fuck yourself. I don't think so," and hang up the phone.
Yeah, and there
and it actually be true.
There's schemes that do that. There's scammers that do that.
Well, I thought so too, but that shit, they were for real.
Yeah, and no, there's people that for really
called
do that.
Us like, yeah, they're legit.
Yeah, and there's people that for real do that, but there's also scams. That's like a huge thing with scams that they really do that. They literally just look at the county website to see what houses are closed on, and they call those people. Yeah, there's a debt on this property, and they get all freaked out, and they send them some funds. Oh, there's a $20,000 debt, but if you send us $1,500 a day, we'll forgive the debt. And they do that.
You have insurance, title insurance, and then you have the recording of the deed. That's a fee.
Yeah,
that's a fee as well. So they recorded to transfer to your name. That's a fee as well.
Those fees add up, man. DT, what would you say? What percentage of the sales price would you put away? For closing costs.
I don't know if I would affiliate a percentage
with the sales price.
I don't know if I would affiliate a percentage with the sales price, because closing costs, they're not that huge. They're kind of small. You know what I'm saying? If you buy a property for, let's just use a simple $250K, right? If your closing costs are your attorney fees, are we just saying closing costs are attorney fees, insurance, the recording, titles, land surveys, things of that nature?
Taxes.
Oh, okay. So we're including taxes and insurance.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. That's 100%. So now escrow fees.
Escrow fees. Yeah, that's the insurance. Okay, so then now we can go to a percentage. I probably would say around 5 to 8%.
You going that high?
Yeah,
I go with 2 to 5.
Well, if
2 to 5. 2 to 5 is the average for me. But 8%, I've seen it too. I've seen 8%.
He's well prepared. Yeah, I mean, listen, we've been hit with the closing fees look like 11,000. Someone closing fees like 6,000.
Yeah,
so it can. But I'm gonna tell you this right now, they're all closing fees. Let me ask you this.
That's all you know. That's all you know, right?
If you buy an investment property that you put 20% down, it typically takes 30% of the purchase price to close on it. So that would be 10% would be what your closing costs are going to be, right? If you buy a property where you're paying 3.5% down, it won't be 30% of the purchase price that you have to put down, but it's probably going to be closer to like 15 when it's all said and done. So
15%?
Yeah, total. 3.5 for your down payment, and then you're going to somewhere around 12% for your closing.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So it's fair to say I guess the safe number would be 10%. 10% is a good number that I would associate with any closing cost for any deal. No matter how much your down payment is, I think 10% is a safe number. Sometimes it's less, but 10% is a safe number to allocate for that.
Yeah.
Another thing I would also say too is when you're buying bigger properties, or even, doesn't matter the size, really, to be honest with you. So I just bought, probably about 5-6 months ago, I bought a property that's next door to a gas station. The gas station has been, around for a long time. I think it closed down in the early 2000s, but nevertheless, the building still stands. So what I did for that property was I had an environmental search on that property done so that I can check to see if the soil was contaminated, if there was any gas tanks that were buried under the soil that were ever recorded leaking. I had them test the soil to make sure that the property was good. Now, mind you, the property was only like $65K that I paid for it, and it cost me like $2,700 for the environmental. So it was pretty expensive.
And that's at your own risk, because at the end of the day, something pops up and you don't like it.
I just walk away from the deal, but I lost that $2,700. But for peace of mind and then for future sales, it's worth it for me.
100%. Because
if that, for God forbid, come to find out, let's say I didn't do that, right? And this is not something that everybody would know. This is, you got to have some seasoning, excuse me, behind you for that. So had it been that I didn't do that, and whenever I feel like taking my talents to South Beach, and my kids decide they don't want nothing to do with it, and we sell the property, You know, I really, there's no bank that's going to finance it. Can't finance that property. You can't really sell it if it comes up that there's a known contamination in that soil. So it's worth it. So that's another part of closing costs that could be, you know, go from that 7, 8, 9, 10% and then bring it up to about 14, 15% for your closing costs unexpectedly. You know what I mean? So super important that you know those little intricacies.
For anyone that's saying why you adding that to closing cost fees, because closing costs are fees ultimately, right, and that's just another fee that you have to pay for. Sorry, just Jerry.
No. I'm just gonna ask about a home inspection. What is that? Is that a closing fee as well? Home inspection?
No, that's an out of pocket fee during your due diligence process.
Isn't that a fee though?
It's a fee, but it's not at closing.
Okay.
Right. So something that's not even accounted for.
You can't roll that into your closing cost. That has to be paid for out of pocket.
Out of pocket. Okay. I see.
Due diligence during the time. And damn, I had a good point that I was going to say just now too, and I forgot.
Something about fees, environmental, being able to sell it again, not sell it again.
No. To kind of give you for those who don't got it yet, because I know we've been honing in on it and trying to drill it in. Excuse me. A down payment, Lance referred to it as skin in the game. Jerry has said something similar to it as well. Look at a down payment as this, right? If a property is worth, let's just use 100,000, right? No bank, for the most part, is going to give you $100,000 to buy a property that's only worth $100,000, right? But what they'll do is they'll give you 80% loan to value, or 75% loan to value, or 96.5% loan to value, and they require you to fill in the rest of that blank. So if a bank is going to loan you 96.5%, they're expecting you to come up with 3.5% to now cover the 100% of that property's cost, right?
Or that 20%.
Or they're going to require you to come up with 20 because they're going to give you 80% of it. Or sometimes they're going to come up with 75%, so they want you to come up with 25%, right? So that's just the purchase of the house. That has nothing to do with how do you now close on it. Right. So think of down payment as this is how I'm going to buy the house. And then step 2, how am I now going to close on it? And how much is that going to cost? Like Lance said earlier, 2 separate entities.
Correct.
That's it, man. I mean, the reason why we wanted to bring that up today is because, once again, we have been guilty of it, is that you always hear what you're supposed to, like you said, what you bring up front, you know, that first part of it. But all those fees and everything there on the back end, you don't really hear about that because it's not sexy.
Yeah.
It's not sexy to say, yo, you got to come up with another 10%. You see what I'm saying? But I want you to be prepared, because then you start looking like me in the beginning. And fortunately, we had the money to cover it. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, and you feel like, all right, now I saved up my money, I got my 20%, I'm ready to go, right? And then you're sitting there on the back end, and you go, whoa, nobody told me. What is this closing costs?
Yeah.
You know, Lance said he didn't pay any closing costs. my friend Lance said he didn't pay any closing costs.
No, you got 20%. That might not be enough.
It may not be enough. You know, so that's something to always be aware of. And you know, of course, we want to give it to you unfiltered and transparent, like always. You know, from our mouth to your ears. Teaser.
If it's a primary residence, all these rules are thrown out the window because there's cheat codes. They're still relevant. But there's cheat codes.
Right. I know you.
There's a lot of.
Let's leave that for another episode, though.
There's a lot of love when you're buying a primary. A lot of love.
Let's leave that for especially for.
And a primary doesn't necessarily mean the property, one single family property that you're going to move you and your family into. A primary residence can be anything from 1 to 4 units that you're going to move you into.
Absolutely.
That's right.
You could be you know, shouting back to our last episode, you could be a renter and an owner at the same time.
That's a fact.
Isn't that cute?
That's a fact.
Teaser.
I tell you that, you know, it was good information. Once again, like I said, we felt it was necessary to speak about this because we love, you know, giving you guys the transparency, both sides, bad and good, like Just Jerry always says. Just Jerry, you got anything to say to the people before we leave them?
Yeah, I would say it's important for you buyers or anybody. Closing costs. It could get very expensive, man. It could get very expensive, and if you're not really thinking about it, it could put you out of your contract. So I would say always ask the realtor to kind of give you a breakdown of what the closing costs may come out to. So ask them, and they probably will tell you, and then you kind of know what I'm working with and what I'm not working with.
Yeah, yeah. Everything Jerry says, I stand tall to that. Typically, you're going to want to hone in on your mortgage, your lender, to get you those numbers more than your realtor. Your realtor, sometimes you got to always think, man, realtors just want to close the deal, right? So if they're going to shade those numbers towards the favorable side, right? Your lender is going to keep it 1,000 with you, and typically they'll up, they'll round up instead of rounding down.
That's very true.
My realtor is good, so I'm that's why I said
we fall in different brackets, but so I would always say, go refer to your lenders. Probably trust a little bit more so what your lenders say, because your lenders have everything in front of them, right? They know the numbers. It's a plug and play system. They do it every day for multiple people. It's very, very easy for them. This is what they do. Realtors, for the most part, they got to deal with 20%, 3.5, 10%, 5%, 50%, 25%. It's a lot of percentages they got to deal with. So sometimes those numbers get convoluted in their brain. So I would always refer to your lender to get the more accurate numbers and stuff like that. But I always say this, we're gonna say it again, you're gonna miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So regardless of what closing costs are, regardless of what being a renter and owner, the important thing is just to be in the game. Get yourself in the game.
Get in the game. We appreciate you guys once again. We love that you guys are here with us. Keep tuning in. We're gonna keep bringing the gems to you guys, and we'll
subscribe.
For sure. H.G.R.G.club. Go check us out.
Salute.
What they say? I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the pine.